On this week's show, the Disney Infinity 3.0 review. All this more in episode 102 of the Inside Infinity podcast. Do you like Disney as much as I like Disney? Of course you do, or you wouldn't be listening to a Disney Infinity podcast. Well, if you like it as much as I do, you should head on over to MediaMeltdownPodcast.com and look for the Mousecast. Mousecast is a bi-weekly show recorded on all things Disney Infinity, co-hosted by our friend of the show, the one and only Steve C. If you like Disney news, then check them out. They talk theme parks, movies, animations, Disney Infinity, all things Disney. Head on over to MediaMeltdownPodcast.com and check out the Mousecast. Hello everyone, welcome to a very special episode of the Inside Infinity podcast, the one you've been waiting on for a year. This is the 3.0 review show. I'm Will Kelly, and joining me once again this week is none other than Mr. Jason Haynes. Jason, how are you doing, my friend?
Good. G'day, Will. G'day, listeners. Have I been? I feel like I've been on the show forever. Was I on last week? I can't remember.
You were, but you didn't say much in your defense.
Oh, that's
so
right, because I was trying
not
to... Yeah, no,
your
that's
fault.
right. I was gagged.
You were gagged.
That's why I'm looking forward to this show. Like, I was, dying last week.
That's good. That's good. You have a whole bunch to talk about. You couldn't talk about it last week, and you had one job tonight, and you forgot to do that one job. So go ahead and fill this dare for a moment as I step off screen.
What was the one job? What? I feel completely blindsided. What was the job?
Your job was to tell me to turn off the fan so the audio sounded all good. But that's okay. I just did it. And I saw that dumb look on your face, and you did not fill that dead air, so you had to wait for me to come back. But it's all good.
Sorry.
It's all good.
I can't fill dead air.
No, you can't. Your personality is much too big for that. Before we get things started, we want to thank everyone who's joining us live this week. We have a lot of people in there, although not as many as normal. I'm sure most of the folks out there are playing Disney Infinity since its launch. I'd like to thank everyone who is joining us tonight. Carter, what's up, buddy? Captain Disney, good seeing you. Chawa, Disc Primitive, Disney Corey, what's up? Full of Gunk, Janalom, JB. Carrie, how's it going? Matt, Inpan, what's up? TJ and Julie over at the Pixar Post. Go check out their last week's podcast if you want to hear about Disney Infinity. Prototype, there's my boy Samson. How you doing, buddy? SMC, Tesla Blitz, and Frank. How's it going, everyone? Welcome, and thanks for joining us on this week's episode. Jason and I, we are excited to talk about things. We mentioned it earlier. So, Jason, you had the game last week, but you couldn't really, you were embargoed, so you couldn't really say much about it.
That is true. That is true.
So, have you saved all your thoughts for this week?
Most of them, yep.
Good. Well, as long as you have a few, I don't care. Now, we drafted an extensive document, so there's lots to talk about. Before we get things started, I got to give a shout out to John. John helped me. He wanted me to give him a shout out on the show. I didn't have any disc for him to trade, so I'm looking up his Twitter name now. He has lots of disc to trade, so if you are looking for some disc to trade, look up PJF Cool on Twitter. He has disc. I told him I'd give him a shout out. I also got to give him another shout out this week. Jason, you reminded me at the top of the show. Congrats to our friends Team hashtag Team Han Shot First. So they were the winners of the Choice Awards for the Disney Infinity Summit for 2015. So they will be getting characters, townspeople in the game. So big congrats to them. That's it's pretty exciting. So I'm sure it was a close race with all the teams that competed this year, but yeah, there's got to be a winner, right? So this year it was Team Han Shot First.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
Is that your Australian congratulations?
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. Well done, everyone. Excellent. Can't wait to play with you in the toy box. Where will you be? Mighty Gidas is in the popcorn stand. Where will you be?
That's true. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe you'll be spit out of the Snarlack pit. Or whatever that thing is.
Starlight Pit? That's a good idea.
That's it. Throw something in there and boom, out comes Frank. Baroness 89.
That's awesome. I love it. That's great. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they're introduced next year as well. That's pretty exciting. Not just having one Toy Box person this year, but multiple. So, all right, Jason. Well, let's go ahead and get things started, shall we?
Yeah, we got lots to talk about.
Lots to talk about. All right, first, should we give a general overview? Like at the top of the show, should we just give our overall impressions of the game, and then very high level, and then we'll break down each section individually.
Sure, let me just grab my rant hat. Let's go on.
No rants today.
No, mini rants. Mini rants. But overall, nothing worthy of a hat.
Awesome. Oh, that's good. That is the best, that's the absolute best compliment you can give.
Totally. We should actually launch with the fact that, like, the game is getting amazing accolades across the board because we're not technically reviewers.
Right.
We're just going to give our thoughts as players
Yep.
and community members. But it's awesome to see the positive feedback it's getting from the general game reviewing community, magazines, websites, you name it. Everyone seems to be giving this the thumbs up.
Totally. Yeah, I was streaming yesterday, and Matt Sully came into the stream and was chatting with us in the chat room, and I was giving him mad props because the game's getting great reviews across the board. I mean, I think it's kind of averaging out at 8.5. I'm going to look up the Metacritic review, or Metacritic score, even though that is not exactly the best way, but it's a good general way to see the score.
And while you're doing that, I'll fill in the blank space. No, I think we're going to go into much detail because this has been a huge jumbled mess. Can you still hear me? Because I've frozen on my end.
Yep, you're still good.
That's all right then. It just would have been a huge jumbled mess if we were just going on and on about the game because it honestly is so good on every level. So we wanted to break it down into the individual areas so we're not letting anything get missed out and so that we can keep our thoughts complete. But in saying that, we want to at least touch on some of the areas that are not negative, so to speak, but I feel like with a game this good, you've got to highlight some of the areas where, again, they're not downfalls, but like areas that we excited to see some improvements on either in this gen or the next gen, just to get that discussion started. But from my experience, it is obvious to me that every area of Disney Infinity has been touched. And even to the point, I was super pumped about this, even the remote play on the Vita has been fixed.
Really?
It is unbelievable.
The controls aren't wonky anymore?
I thought for sure that would be something that would go underneath the radar with the fact that we're not getting a Vita version this year. But they've completely remapped the controls on Vita, and it's totally usable.
Wow.
It used to be in 2.0, you had to use the back touch to bring out your wand.
Oh, yes.
To highlight. It was so annoying. Well, all backlit back touch has been removed in 3.0 remote play, and so you now use your L1 trigger to bring out your wand, and the top left and right hand sided screen doubles as buttons. So it's a joy to play on the Vita. So anyone who has one, feel free to use remote play and build toy boxes to your heart content on the in bed using remote play. So that's something really positive. But that just goes to show you that they really did go to every dark corner of the game to try and improve it on some sort of level.
That's amazing. That is, I mean, because that's something that is kind of a nicety, but not a requirement by any means. And so it just goes, like you said, goes to show the level of detail that they went into the improvements of the game.
Yeah.
So
definitely. So yeah, that's my overall thoughts, but we're going to break it down.
Janelum in the chat is saying remote playing right now on his PSTV. He says it's awesome. The theme park dude is saying that this feels like we don't even need a 4.0, just an update on 3.0. It's that good. And you know what? My thoughts aren't far behind you on there. It's gotten a Metacritic score currently of 85, which is, for a game like this, is phenomenal. Huge props to everyone at Disney Interactive, Avalanche Studios, and Avalanche Software, and all of the other developers that are part of the game studio. Gobo, Ninja Theory, gosh, there's so many. Sumo
Yeah.
Digital, there's so many, and so
And,
mad
and the
props
only
to
real
them.
negative that's coming out of these reviews, as far as I can tell, is just the whole cost of the game. That's the only
Mm.
thing that ever seems to trip people up is the whole, whether you're a 1.0 or 2.0 person coming up, or this whole controversy about one less figure, only one play set, blah blah blah. But I mean, that's a tough argument in the
Mhm.
Toys for Life genre,
And
so to speak.
the funny part is, even that's improved this year. The starter pack is $10 less, and we don't have the blind bag power disc anymore, and a lot fewer power disc at that. So I don't know. I think they've even addressed
Actually, we
that
need to
concern.
we need to put that on our list. Can we put power discs at the end of our list?
Yes.
And I do want to mention that, and again, but we're not going to rake them over the coals about this. But it's not a technically flawless game at this point in time. But
Mm.
again, I don't want to cause too much issue with it. Obviously, they can patch that stuff out. But I personally have experienced lockups, like hard lockups, locking up my PS4, where I had to literally hold down the power button. There
Yeah.
seems to be the odd freeze up in the toy box that comes good after I go back to the menu, and I'm experiencing some graphical glitches in the toy box, some flickering. Matchmaking hasn't been great, but there hasn't been a lot of people
Mm.
obviously playing, so that could be related to that.
Right.
And I've heard reports of people having issues with people joining into their toy boxes, regardless whether they've locked their game or not. But
Yep.
again, all this stuff will be cleared up, hopefully,
And patches.
in patches.
Yeah.
But it's worth letting them know that those things are happening, so that they can start looking into them. So now, because the graphical glitching is really frustrating.
Yeah. And I've had that once. I said a hard restart fixed it for me, but you're saying it hasn't fixed it for you. So
No, it has not fixed it for me.
bummer. Excuse me while I do not change figures on my levelator there. It's a crystal figure, so that doesn't count. All right, cool. Well, again, mad props to those folks, and there are some bugs, but at least they're not gameplay negatives or drawbacks. So with that,
Yeah.
let's go ahead and get things started, Jason. Let's discuss the introduction on the game. So I'm going to throw it your way. What's your thoughts this year compared to last year?
My gut reaction was I didn't like it as much as the previous two. There was something about it that just didn't. The previous two hardcore hit the nostalgia button. There was something extremely magical about the previous two intros that I felt wasn't there in this one for
Hmm.
whatever reason. And I haven't really broken that down necessarily, but it didn't give me that pumped me up about this whole meshing
Yeah.
of the world.
Yeah.
So I mean, it started to improve when the maybe it was because it didn't start with Disney. Maybe I felt like it needed, like
Yeah.
in the previous, it's always started with Disney, and then the introduction of Star Wars is like
Right.
but this started as Star Wars, and then the Disney section came near the end. I don't know the specifics, but definitely was left feeling a little flat.
What I don't even remember what the first one was. What 1.0
In
was.
1.0?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. I just remember it being great.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
It started in space with the spark, and you had to
Oh,
collect the
yeah, yeah,
sparks.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
right, and it was sort of
That's
that
cool.
beautiful, and that was great 'cause
Imagination, right?
it was this formation of the world, and you had all the characters in that sparks form, and it was like, the painting of a picture in front of
Yeah.
your eyes.
Totally. Yeah, my thoughts are echoed completely with you. So yeah, I liked last year much better. I like the Disney focus with the introduction of the other properties. I did feel like this year they did a good job of combining the worlds and kind of introducing different aspects of it. So they showed the third person combat, they showed some of the new flying mechanics, and then the inside out platforming. And although very brief snippets, I think they did a good job of like, here's what you're getting into. But as far as that magic,
It was all animated well, like it was all really good on that sort of level. Maybe the music wasn't there. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you're right. At least it wasn't like last year, because in 2.0 there was this promise of a game that you never got.
yeah, that's true. That's
The
very
fact that
true.
started with Aladdin and all that sort of stuff. You got pumped up for this Disney game,
Yeah,
and then it was just 100% Marvel, effectively,
Yep.
which is what you had. So it was better than that.
totally. All right, next part that we want to discuss is the game before the game, the transfer process. Any thoughts, Jason?
Lots of thoughts. As I alluded to in the previous episode, I discovered that I'm missing two power discs because you
Mm.
obviously have to put down every character, every power disc to repopulate your Hall of Heroes. And that is a pain to do. It really is. In fact, I trained my daughters to do it. I said, here, girls, here's the figures. I want you to go to each one of these podiums, see which character it is, and put it on there. And it also doesn't seem as it seemed a little buggy for me. I don't know about for you. Like sometimes I'd put a
Mhm.
figure on, but I couldn't get the actual sparks, like that sparkle effect to appear over the base. I either had to put a different character on
Mhm.
or walk well away from it in order for it
Yep.
to come back up. So that was a really strange process, and I just don't understand why that stuff can't be transferred via your Disney ID.
That's still a big complaint of mine. That along with the unlocks should transfer with your Disney ID on consoles, because we know it works for the digital PC and mobile versions of the game.
Oh, does it?
So
I didn't know that.
yep, yep. So well, all right. So the way that works is actually I think that is coming from your digital codes. You know, the ones that you enter in
Yes.
online. But so technically that information isn't getting to the cloud from your console, but it doesn't bring it down from the cloud then if you know
Yeah.
like if those codes are there at the very least. And well, I wonder though, because those versions of the game don't have levels associated with them because you have to re-level them up. So I wonder if that's part of the issue with that, is that they want you to put those figures down because they each have a level.
Yeah, I don't know. And look, and if you're gonna do it, and this is where I think, yeah, we're also gonna discuss the Hall of Heroes. I
Hmm.
feel like if you're gonna make us reload all our figures on, I feel like the Hall of Heroes should be completely different. So that at least we get the
Hmm.
enjoyment of seeing them in their new places, in their new form in the Hall of Heroes. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? They make that an enjoyable process. I don't know. How do you feel about the Hall of Heroes? I feel like with the Disney one specifically, we'll go on to the other ones, but with the Disney Hall of Heroes specifically, the original, I feel like it's getting too I don't know, not big, but it was an issue because you're
Hmm.
spawning in the new Hall of Heroes section for the new 3.0 figures, and it's quite a hike
Yeah.
to get to the 2.0 figures at
With
the back of the Hall of Heroes.
with no sense of like no guidance to get you there. It
Exactly.
took me a while. Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I mean, there was something magical about the first Hall of Heroes that would grow over time too, and now it's like the final version of that. And so I don't know. Even if they brought some of that back, that might help. But I don't
Yeah,
know.
as of now, there has been no change over time to the Hall of
Hmm.
Heroes, continued still, and that was one of the best features of the original Hall of Heroes. So, in general, I feel
Yeah.
like that's just ready for a massive overhaul. But we'll probably get onto that a little bit more when we talk about the hub. But what
Yeah.
did you think about the Star Wars Hall of Heroes? The what is it? The Hall of Galactic Heroes.
So it's awesome. I love it. It's a little too simple for me. You know,
Yep,
it's just that
yep,
one room,
yep.
but I mean, it is so iconic, and I love the scene they chose to have as the Hall of Heroes. So yeah, what about
I
you?
completely agree.
Yeah.
Completely agree. I thought it was a good, fitting place, but again, just disappointed in the lack of changes that
Mm,
happen based on the figures. And maybe there is changes. We haven't obviously got all the figures in there
yeah,
as yet, but and it is a nice addition. And it took me a while to actually notice what was different. But the fact that the holograms are animated,
yeah, that's cool.
unlike in the Marvel Hall of Heroes.
So I've had a chance to look at it. Do they change over time? You know, the original from bronze,
Yeah,
silver, gold.
they're colored as well. It's
Okay.
sort of hard to sort of tell, but they are colored. So they do go bronze, silver, gold, but there's also a hint of the actual normal color of the character there
Mm,
as well. So I really like that. I think that's good. Um, I do. I don't know how you feel, but I feel like the Marvel. I don't know what's the deal with Marvel, but seriously, they in this game they feel like uh, the lowest priority. I don't know whether it's Marvel
really?
causing the issue, but I feel like they just shoehorned
Huh.
um, the two Marvel, Ultron and
Hmm.
Hulkbuster, into the existing Hall of Heroes. Is like whatever, good enough. You know what I mean? I feel like that. I just don't feel like Marvel at this point in time feel as part of the
Yeah.
package. Like they weren't really in the opening cinematic. And
Hmm.
I'm sure there's legal reasons for all of this, but again, it does feel lacking on a Marvel front, and just particularly, and right down to that Hall of Heroes where it literally feels the least inspired change. You know what I mean? I'd be interested to know if that's Marvel's thing, saying, no, no,
Yeah.
no, we don't want to, expand on that at all. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Totally. I hear you. I don't know. I was impressed with the Hall of Heroes when it first came out. I thought it was cool the setting they chose with the helicarrier, and I like kind of the hangar area with the vehicles and stuff. But there's nothing new except for those two empty spots.
No,
We
there's zero reason to go in there, unless obviously, I suppose. I guess you got to think in the context of. I'm sure there's going to be just thousands of people that are coming into Disney Infinity
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
3.0 is their entry point, and so they're going to have fun filling it, I guess,
totally.
backdating their catalog with 2.0 characters.
Yeah, Carrie in the chat was just saying this is the first version of the game that they have. So perfect example, Jason.
Have fun finding those character figures cheap.
Yeah, you will find them. You absolutely will.
You can pick them up for like $2, $3 here in Australia in the local EB games. They have
Really,
like just piles of them for like, yeah, $3, $4. You can pick up
I want to.
Marvel figures.
I want to say the cheapest I've seen it one was $6 or $9. I can't remember. And
Okay.
that was pretty recent too.
Okay.
So, well, welcome to the game. It's a fun addiction to have. So, that's the Holy Heroes. Jason, anything else before we move on?
Maybe we will just briefly talk now about the fact that how are you feeling about the power disc? It's bleedingly obvious that there is so few power discs in 3.0 to
Yeah.
the point of like, do you feel like, I don't know, I feel like maybe it's, are they going to phase them out? I don't know. There seems so few of them. And that's obvious from the Hall of Heroes. It's like, just a handful of spaces there.
Yeah.
And it feels almost like if you're going to have that few, do you even bother having them?
Yeah. No, that's
You know what
that's
I mean?
it's hilarious because I was thinking about this last night as I was kind of getting my thoughts together for tonight's show. The the literal logo is a power disc. I mean, you could
Yeah.
argue that it's also a playset piece, but it
Yeah.
is a power disc, and it does seem that they're all but abandoning that system, which I love it or hate it. We have a lot fewer of them here in this version, and that's noticeable and obvious. But it's funny, Jason, because I was thinking last night, I was unlocking stuff in the toy store, and I was noticing things that before would have been a power disc, and now I can just unlock them. Take for example, Bing Bong's wagon. That would have been a
Oh
power
yeah.
disc in a
That
previous version.
absolutely would have been a power disc in previous version for sure.
But from a gameplay perspective, although it's fun and kids like picking the pieces up and putting them down, it's cumbersome and it's a lot to keep track of. And if you want to play with that one power disc, you're gonna have to sift through all of those 100 power disc and find the particular one you're looking for. So,
But
uh,
as you said, it's an integral part of the game.
mhm.
It's what separates Disney
Yeah,
Infinity from other toys for life is that you've got the ability to put these power discs underneath characters. And
hmm,
so, it was just an interesting thing. I'm not anti power disc by any means, but that was what shocked me. I thought, oh, am I actually disappointed that there's not
right.
more power discs available here? And but let's not forget the fact that there's no mentions of the Force Awakens figures or anything like that in the Hall of Heroes. So it's not
Yeah.
like clearly something's going to change and things can be patched into this version.
Awesome, Jason. So that is the Hall of Heroes and the transferring process, and a couple ways that we feel it could be improved. But overall, we do dig the new addition to the Hall of Heroes, the Star Wars Hall of Heroes. Now let's discuss a very new thing, but it's also mostly just an improvement over an existing thing in the game. Let's talk about the onboarding or tutorial of the game, also known as the Toy Box Hub. What do you think about? So, Jason, you gave me a little sneak peek about this before I had my hands on the game, and And so I saw this for the first time, and I'm like, sold. Give it to me now. I want this game. What are your thoughts of the Toy Box Hub?
I like it. I like it. It's a great start. I'm not. It's too early to tell what its long-term potential is. That's my only concern with it. I think it's phenomenal. I think just let me look at my notes. I think I feel like it's too reliant, too much loading in it. To be honest, it feels like an advanced menu because there's not. I don't know. You know what I mean? It just feels like there's not enough within the hub that you can just do straight away. It's like you're going to doors, you're loading up the farming toy box. You're going to the Flynn's arcade, you're loading up the Flynn's arcade. Just a little bit too much loading, which reduces its usefulness. Because the vast majority of the stuff you can access just through your menu by hitting the options button.
Right.
With the exception of the Flynn's arcade and the
El Capitan.
The
kind
theater.
of.
It just feels like it's a little bit too Main Street heavy, and once you go beyond Main Street, it's mainly tutorial content, which is great, and it's a great way to present it. But I'm just thinking long term, I just don't know how much time you're going to want to spend there in say 3-4 months' time. That's yet to be determined. But I love the fact that it's sort of not random, but I like that it is changing over time based on what you're doing, which is fantastic. I love the exploration, getting presents and all that sort of stuff. If I hadn't been such a cheater and unlocked everything with the Sparks machine, that would be a real draw card to go and get those presents to unlock toys. But yeah, I'm just thinking long term, but I think the big takeaway here is I think this is the future of Disney Infinity. Overall, that's my takeaway from 3.0 is they have hit something that it's like they just need to keep on this path.
Yep.
And it's going to get better and better and better. So it's a great first step into a hub, which I've been speaking about since 1.0.
Yep. I want to say springtime of our first season on the show. So this is kind of our third season. And I remember you came up with this idea, and I just fell in love with it. I thought it was brilliant. I mean, I think we kind of mentioned it at the top, but I agree with you. This feels like the game they always wanted to make. There's something special about this game, and I'm absolutely enamored with it. I can't stop singing its praises, and that's something I'll kind of mention a little bit in closing. But I feel like this is a good update to the last hub. I forget if it was even called the hub. I think that the tutorials are interesting. I like how you unlock the different parts of the world, and it's kind of this fun little, like, I want to go home here. But that leads me to, I think, its biggest drawback, one that you mentioned, is that it's a series of toy boxes. So it's a series of loading, and I don't know technically of a way around that, but it seems like long term it might be a little too cumbersome. And yes, it's meant to be that introduction to the game. You want to make that process more efficient, as players get used to it. But I would love for there to be a reason for me to go to this. This is the place the game loads up every single time, and from here,
you've nailed it. And that's exactly the issue: is that it's a great tutorial mechanic. It's a great introduction to the game. It's not a great home.
Right.
It hasn't yet achieved that place because there's farming plots in the farming section, but there's not enough there to really properly utilize. You have to load into their special farming plot, which is useless, as I've shown in my YouTube videos. Once you unlock the plot in the toy box, you'd never have to go there again. But you're right. That's what I want it to be also. I want it to be this place that whenever I load Disney Infinity, before I even continue my toy box, I want to spend some time in my home, getting my home, tip-top shape. So, yeah. But I think they're going there. But it's just... And we're yet to see. Maybe it will change over time, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I think we're echoing the same thing. And also, I do feel like the tutorials that they actually conduct in the hub is much improved. things make a lot more sense. I mean, Jason, you and I, when we're looking at things like this, we kind of have to look at it, take a step back, and realize, we kind of live and breathe this stuff. So it's hard to see it with a fresh pair of eyes.
Yes, true.
But I felt like last time the hub was improved and good, but it was still confusing. Whereas this my litmus test is going to be my wife. I'm going to hand it to her and see how well she takes to it. But I do feel like the tutorials explain things a lot better and give you an overall feeling of the world.
And as you said, they're actually entertaining. They're really good, inventive toy boxes. It's not just here's a trivial look at what a toy is. They're actually fun experiences to have, and that's a great thing because that's going to inspire people to play in the toy box. And the other thing is, and again, I believe I mentioned this in 2.0, is I love the fact that they've gone for that theme park style. Like it's very themed with the hub and spoke style, and is a great way to again introduce this idea of all these worlds and themes in the one place.
Yeah, absolutely. You have Disney, you have theme parks, you have Star Wars, you have kind of classic in the form of the Mickey's Farm. I guess there's not really any Inside Out items in there, but
there's an Inside Out. Is there an Inside Out island that unlock? Anyway, doesn't really matter. Oh, and what a fantastic mechanic to introduce it all by having the white white texture, so you're not overwhelmed with the toy box. That you can just take it one piece at a time. Fantastic mechanic that I'm sure will return. And I think I said this last show. Like I really hope that they continue to introduce Disneyland stuff over time. We got the main street. That's fantastic. Let's bring in more, and so eventually I can just foresee this full Disneyland toy set that they can completely recreate, Disneyland, and hopefully that will be the home of the future hub.
Totally. I love it. Cool. Anything else about that?
No, I'll touch on something a little bit later when we get onto the sidekicks. But
perfect.
That's
all right. So the next piece we are going to discuss has a part. It has its own little virtual base in the Toy Box Hub, and that is playsets. So we're going to start off with Twilight of the Republic because that's the only playset that Jason and I have both played, and then Jason's going to give his thoughts on Inside Out. Twilight is amazing. It does a great job of telling its own story, having visually appealing and quality cinematics. I'm loving the gameplay. I don't know how much...
varied. It's good, varied gameplay.
Right? And it's like, I don't know about you, but I hate to say this, but 2.0... so traditionally, coming from 1.0 to 2.0, the playsets, that was my bread and butter. That was the thing I enjoyed the most. And practically all three of the 2.0 were, nah. I mean, it was okay, but nah. And this is my first taste of it in 3.0, and I'm just like, this is a full-featured game. It still doesn't have that length, but quality and presentation and gameplay, it's firing on all cylinders.
And I don't think anyone's going to be disappointed with the length based on what you're paying, whatever it is. What is it, $30 or something like that?
$35
for a playset. 2 figures and this game, like it's I think it's absolutely the right length, to be honest. And it doesn't feel, there's some side missions, and I haven't 100%ed it by any means,
right,
but there's a few side missions that are like feel a little bit, that's a little bit of bloatware,
right,
but overall it's very, it doesn't feel like that. And I was having this conversation with someone. I've got Grand Theft Auto 5 here, I bought not too long ago on PS4. Zero motivation to play it. Like, same with, I also played, Assassin's Creed, the latest Assassin's Creed that was out.
Unity?
Yeah, the French one. And when I go into those maps and I see all these missions to do, I'm just like, I can't be bothered. Like, that's too much work. But what is it about this playset that I was like, I want to do all these side missions? Is it nostalgia of the story? Is it like the way that they've done it, the way they're presenting? I really like how you can go to that mission selector screen and just say, show me where the start point of this one is.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but it's enticing. I want to do the side missions.
So for me, what I think it is personally, and this is evident in the game in so many different areas, and we're really going to touch on it when we get to sidekicks. But to me, it's carrots on the stick. There's a interesting reward for everything you do in this game, whether it be unlocking a new section in the Toy Box Hub and that paints it, whether that's going through the maze tutorial to get a sidekick toy. For me, it's I know I'm going to do these side missions and it's going to give me something cool at the end. And that's not really something that is new for the game, but it is something that is so universal throughout the game. At least that's my opinion. That's why I'm loving those side missions, because I'm not a side mission guy, and just knowing that I complete this and it's kind of has its own mini story and I'm going to get something cool at the end of it. That Twilight of the Republic, spoiler alert, it's a small side mission, but where the senator's going to throw a party, and I don't know if you've played this, Jason, but he unlocks this like floating amusement park island. And you literally have to go with them to that island. You throw them on a seesaw, you get in on the other side and you seesaw. Then you throw them in the swings, and then you go around the swings together. There's a tower drop thing. And I'm like, this side mission had no combat. It was just literally me going to an island and riding rides. And it was amazing. And it was this great diversion. So
I have not played it, but I do. I think I remember seeing you do that particular section. And actually, it was when I was watching you play, because I pretty much stuck to the story. Didn't do too much of the side missions. I've since gone back and played a few of them, but even I saw you like shooting those targets,
yes,
and stuff like that. I love the fact that there's all this like, it's again, as I've spoken in the past, it feels like a literal playset. It feels like Star Wars translated into toys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like someone set up Tatooine on the living room floor, and you're going around with your action figures, and you're playing with, those targets. A perfect example of what a playset would have. Like, trigger that and a door opens and it reveals something inside. Like, that is super fun to me. And you're right, the fact that you're getting those unlocks, and the more you're into the toy box, the more enjoyable it is, because you'll actually utilize the stuff that's unlocking in those play sets.
Absolutely. It's this revolving, reward system. And I agree. I mean, we're going to touch on combat separately, but that makes the playsets, in my opinion, more enjoyable. I feel like it's big. A lot of times the playsets have been big, though. And so that's not necessarily new, but for the first time, in some respects, it's not nearly as overwhelming. I mean, Coruscant is huge, but I felt like there's too much going on in Nowhere for the Guardians playset last year. And although I think they're kind of set up similarly, there's this variance in elevation, and there's these kind of different islands to do different things. It hasn't been overwhelming to me, and that's something that I've been very appreciative.
And it's sort of kept to this line of like, where they haven't tried to make it, no, this is a full-on separate cinematic game. It still feels like, it almost feels like, I feel like I could build this in the toy box.
Yeah, totally. And
You
we've
know what
never.
I mean? Like, it's cool.
That's kind of been the holy grail of this game, right? I mean, we've been talking since day one that what we want to be able to do is make playsets, and
Yeah.
I think the playsets have fed to the toy box, and vice versa. The toy box has fed enough to the playsets to really make it cohesive in that respect.
Yeah. And the final thing I want to mention is just like, I played this right out of the gate, never played it before. I played this playset from start to completion with my daughter in split screen
Oh,
co-op. And I can't tell you how good that was, because I remember asking Matthew Solly when I had the interview, I said, what's the split screen gameplay like? And if I play with someone who's not as experienced as I as a gamer, what's that experience going to be like? And he said, like, you remember me telling me, he said, I think it's going to be good, but he didn't know the specifics. But I can tell you, it was amazing,
that's
because
awesome.
the way they've done it, if I reach a checkpoint, she's not particularly up there, she'll automatically spawn where I was. There was no point where I ever had to touch her controller.
Wow.
And so we were able to experience the entire playset from start to finish. And the difference was, in the past, I played Disney Infinity. You enjoy it, but the enjoyment comes that you're playing with your daughter.
Right.
But this was both for me. I was because the combat was simple enough for her to play with, but complex enough for me to like still get my, gaminess out of
Hmm.
it. I was literally enjoying the play set both because I was literally enjoying playing the game, but also because I was playing with my daughter. I didn't have to sacrifice one or the other. You know what I mean? I didn't have to sacrifice my enjoyment of the game just so that she's having a good time.
Right.
I could just play exactly how I wanted to play, and she was having a great time, and I was having a great time. I can't. And my daughter's only young; she's 7 years old. But like up until that point, I've never had that
That's
experience
cool.
before. So you can't deny that that's a great thing. So,
I,
but I'm looking now. I'm looking forward to. I don't want to play Rise of the Empire, which I don't have, without her. You know what I
right.
mean? I
That's
feel
so
like
cool.
why would you want to? It's like she clearly loves it. She knows the characters. She particularly, I don't know why, but she's a bigger fan of Clone Wars than she is of the new Rebels show. So,
All right.
um, but yeah, so that's really cool. So if you're a parent out there, don't be afraid to play this game with your kids. Even if you're the one that's not that great at gaming, they can probably help you out. And there was a few times where she literally revived me, which I was like, well, thank goodness you were here because
Oh,
I was I was dead and gone.
that's a proud daddy moment right there.
It was a really poignant moment in my parental thing. So
Justin in the chat saying that he's enjoying playing with his daughters too, and that's amazing, right? It is a family game, and so the fact that you are having so much fun playing with your family, and it's not a burden to play co-op for you with having two different skill levels. You can both have the same amount of enjoyment. That's just great.
it is. It's awesome.
So Chawa plays with his 14-year-old as well, which is pretty awesome. For those that don't play with family members, I want to throw out it's one positive that I've been enjoying, and then a pro tip. I love the fact that you only need one coin now to play as different figures, and those coins, at least for me, I found very organically. I did have some help from the chat, which is cool. But for the most part, I just kind of stumbled upon them organically while doing missions, whether it be side missions or not. And that's something that's been increased my enjoyment quite a bit. And then that leads me to my pro tip. If you are playing alone, this is the first time I've ever done this, and I'm loving it. I'm playing on the extreme difficulty, Jason, which it's hard. It is extremely hard. There was twice it was so hard that I had leveled 20 characters and I could not. I ran through all my figures. So it's hard, and so you might have to change it, but you can dynamically change it. The thing I'm loving about this though is that last time I had to force myself to use different characters. I want to play as a new character or try them out. I'll do that. But you know what? Cap is my favorite, so I eventually put him back down the base. Playing on extreme mode and just getting my butt kicked, I multiple times had to run through all my characters, and I've been leveling them up without using levelators, and that's just provide an entirely new experience for me. So don't be afraid if you want that extra challenge, but it gives a good reason to try different characters. So I just want to throw that out there.
Good tip. Good tip.
It's been fun. So that's Try of the Republic. Neither one of us has played Rise Against the Empire yet. So what are your Inside Out thoughts, Jason?
Again, totally blown away. I can't believe uh, how much of a legitimate platform it is. I mean, in my mindset, I'm an old school gamer, so to me, like platforming is Mario, and every
Hmm.
other platformer since Mario has been, either a knockoff or just hasn't risen to the occasions. Like I've never seen anything as inventive as Mario platformers, the likes of Mario Galaxy on the Wii. And so I was just shocked when I discovered that not only is it a great platformer, but it's so inventive. It looks great, it sounds great. The use of the characters is really smart. The fact that they don't punish you if you don't actually have all the characters, that you can switch to the other characters temporarily to achieve what you need to achieve. And it's again a meaty experience. It wasn't a short. I mean, I
Yeah.
speed run it effectively. I wasn't trying to get all the balloons or anything like that. And it took me, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours, something like that, to complete it all.
Hmm.
It's got a great boss fight at the end of it, and again, just like in Twilight, there was varied platforming. They got the 2.5D, they got the straight up 2D platforming, and there's a few other surprises in there which I'm not going to spoil because it's a really fun thing when you actually come across it. But
That's awesome.
yeah, it's really cool. And just again, like it's not simple. Like it can be super simple, but if you want to take it to that hardcore level, it's a real challenge to find all the balloons. And they've got that
That's
constant
cool.
running clock, so it's so primed for speed running. And I think there was like one level where I came underneath the target time that's set. So there's a lot of potential replayability there, and I haven't experienced it yet, but I look forward. I really think this would be fun to play split screen co-op with two really good gamers. It'd be very interesting to watch, and looking forward to seeing that. So yeah, I can't give that high enough praises either.
That's amazing. Lim in the chat, he started playing with his son last night, and he was saying it kind of has a Lego game vibe to it. I don't know.
Probably because of the collectible side of
Mm,
things, like how you got to collect. Because you're collecting balloons, you're shooting flowers. There's a light globe that you got to collect in each
mm,
level. There's a lot to collect, um, but it just looks amazing. And I say the color and sound is really cool.
that's
But
cool.
I think the key thing is just smart. There's so many. We all saw the gravity thing. It's just like that's
Yeah.
just one element of the. There's this whole cloud mechanic, and it's just really good stuff.
And I love how they don't punish you, like you said, for not having the figures. Would you say that if anything, it encourages you to get new figures? Because it kind of shows off what they're capable of?
Yeah, it does a little bit because I mean, because I had the figures, I didn't actually have to use the
Mm,
that sort of thing. But I could. It is good because it's sort of almost like a demo preview of the figure. It's like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, I wouldn't
yeah.
mind getting that figure. If I have to say one thing, I haven't used. I don't know whether you have. No, you don't have them. Do you have the Inside Out figures? Any of them?
Mm-mm, not yet. I'm picking them up tomorrow.
I haven't used them too much in the toy box themselves, though.
Okay.
I don't know how effective of figures they are outside of their playset. I haven't really spent too much time with them in a generic toy box.
Mm,
I mean, clearly, I'm assuming they're not going to be as good a fighters as the Jedi's, but not every toy box has to be about fighting either.
right.
So,
Totally.
that's yet to be seen.
It'll be
But they're
interesting.
great in the playset. That's that. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
they're great in the playset. So that's all you need.
Well, you said you also mentioned that not only the gameplay is different, but the aesthetics are different too. I mean, you're getting out of that sci-fi kind of dark worlds that aren't nearly as colorful, and this is kind of a palette cleanser. So I'm really excited. I have convinced my wife to play this one with me from start to finish. So I'm finally going to be able to co-op a playset, and I'm going to live stream that entire event. So I'm super stoked. We're going to do that this weekend, which is the reason I haven't gotten it yet. So
If I had to give a one constructive criticism to it, though,
just one.
is that it is frustrating the length of time it takes to switch characters. Like from the moment
Mm,
you switch the character on the base, it feels about two seconds too long to actually, assume that character's position.
so that's a universal thing, right? It's not just in the because that's I've kind of noticed that in the Twilight.
No, yeah, it's
Yeah.
just based on, but because of what they're trying to get you to do, because of that, the whole part of the platform and mechanic is you switching characters so that,
Hmm.
and because anger can walk on lava and sadness
Mm,
walks on clouds without them breaking, it'd be nicer if that was a little bit more of a snappier process because it doesn't, or at the very least, have the effects because you'll switch the character over and you'll go start walking on lava before he's fully
right.
realized and his properties don't kick in till he's properly all there.
And it
But
kills you.
again, minor thing. It's just, yeah,
Yeah.
if you're trying to speed run and you wanted to be able to be there and like,
Pop, 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 pop.
exactly, you can't really do that. So you got to
That's
sort
funny.
of, you'll have to get to that stage where you're like, no, I've got an anger section coming up and switch him like well before that area.
Hmm.
But minor thing.
Interesting. Hmm. Uh, refresh. Sorry. Cool. Well, that I'm sorry, people are lost video, but we're still live. So, all right. Next up, Jason, is kind of a playset, and this is another huge surprise for me. It's something that I sincerely think I enjoyed just as much as the Twilight of the Republic playset, and I cannot believe I'm saying this because we're going to talk about the Toy Box Takeover next. This is a Toy Box game, and I honestly think that like I said, enjoy it just as much as the playset. It was an interesting story. It was a good way to bring all the properties together and have a narrative that you could take them through, whether you're playing as a Marvel figure or a Star Wars figure or Donald Duck. It didn't matter. You're still going through the story, and you're going through these different locations that not only showed off the kiln, but it also showed off Death Star. It showed off pirates. The first level, I loved the pirates because my favorite playset from the first game, one I still wish I could play, was Pirates of the Caribbean, and it totally brought me back to that. Super, super addicting, Jason. You were telling me right before the show started, you unlocked a couple new sidekicks. I cannot say enough about this. Even once you get through the main game, you have this thing called the Hero Destroyer, which is like a 3-level thing that's procedurally generated. That's addicting. It's not as much fun to me, but you know you're going to get a sidekick at the end of it, and you know you're going to get at least one sidekick item. So I don't know. I'm loving it. It was fun, and it has a high level of replayability. What do you think of the Toy Box Takeover?
Yeah, I completely agree. I remember putting the disc down and go, oh, let's get this out the way.
Right?
This is going to be absolute rubbish. And I'm like, put it down, and I literally, as I said, after the first Pirates one, I went, oh my gosh, what can they do anything wrong? Even this is incredible. And as you said, like it's delivers on the promise of like it literally validates the term toy box only figure.
Right?
You know what I mean? Like the fact that you can use any Disney Infinity figure in pre-done story-based content, and you know, when you look at the nuts and bolts of it, really the only thing different about it is the fact that there's cinematic, so a cohesive, larger story, and there's voiceover work on those in the in between levels and stuff like that. It really is just an elaborate toy box,
Yeah,
but done just really well. And
really
as I
well.
said, like like I put, so someone was asking, I was streaming it, someone asked, so what's the 2.0 figures like? You know, in Disney Infinity 3.0, I said, well, you know what? I've heard that they've upgraded the mechanics so I put down Jack Sparrow. He was amazing, and
Really?
I thought, I'm like, this is awesome. I'm playing with Jack Sparrow in this story-based content, and yeah, I just couldn't believe it. No, he's
Wow.
really cool. We'll talk about it in combat, but
That's cool.
yeah, I don't know what it was. I was the same. I thought this feels like a playset. And again, I don't know what the retail is on Toy Box Takeover,
It's
but
$20 here in the States.
I thought there is enough. I mean, it's probably only maybe 2 hours, 3 hours tops
Yeah, I would probably say three.
worth
Three or
of content if you don't take into account that random enemy spawner thing. But I mean, obviously you're getting a lot. There's like what 20, 30 like sidekicks to unlock in it. So there's good. Again, you got that carrot at the end of the stick, and there's like 4 different toys to unlock at each of the worlds.
Like big toys, like
Yeah.
really cool things.
Yeah, I was shocked. I really was expecting it to be lame, but again, it's like I think again they continue down that road, and I hope it comes back that exact mode, maybe with a few advancements. And let's not forget that we're going to talk about again, but this is the best place for sidekicks.
Yeah, yeah. Like I want to go. I'm still unlocking sidekicks, but I want to go back through the whole thing again just to try out new sidekicks. I agree, man. It's something to be worried about. You're like, oh, not this again. I mean, the last one was so boring to me. It was the same thing every time. And this is varied. Every level you had combat, you had platforming, you had kind of puzzle solving, exploring, and it was just overall an enjoyment. And to me, realizing that I personally think you could literally recreate everything in a toy box, with the exception of some of the theming. Like the pirates was right on the water, and that's something we still can't do. But the worlds themselves, realizing that you could recreate that in the toy box, it just completely like opened my eyes to the possibilities. This level of an experience, the only reason knew it was a toy box was because I saw seams and the terrain, and I saw the toy box terrain pieces. But that actually added to its charm, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It
And we
was
can't underestimate. I mean, this is the first example of Disney, official
yeah.
Disney mashup content.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a story that spans Star Wars, Marvel, and Disney
Yep.
and Pixar all in this one story from Disney.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, we're literally getting cutscenes, and let's not forget the boss fights. Oh my gosh, the boss fights, legitimate
Yeah.
good boss fights, is what this Toy Box Takeover brings.
And not just the three that comes with the boss fight creator. Like, I get to the end, and I'm like, the main bad guy in this thing is, spoiler alert, shut off now if you don't want to hear it, but it's also in the cinematic, so it wasn't really a big surprise. But the main bad guy is Syndrome, and I'm like, is Syndrome going to be the final boss? Syndrome that, you fought in the Incredibles playset playing as Syndrome is 1.0, he's going to be the boss? I'm like, how cool is that? You have Star Wars, you have Marvel, with some of the most iconic bad guys ever, and the bad guy in this Toy Box Takeover is straight up Disney and Pixar.
Yeah.
So that
There's so many varied bosses, which is
mhm.
weird, which we'll talk about when we talk about the toy box next week. But it's strange that we don't have
I
those
know, bummer,
in the
right?
toy box toy. That seems strange because
Yeah.
they are really good and well thought out,
Yep.
and heaps of them. Like, I've faced, is it Ronan? Who's the blue guy from Guardians with the hammer?
Yeah. Yeah. Ronan.
He glitched out on me, but and the Goblin and
Uh,
what's his name? The
oh,
uh,
God,
Venom,
pirate. Oh, Venom.
and
Venom
yeah,
was one. I can't think
all
of,
of them,
not
and
Barbosa, but
they're big and they look awesome. Well, Barbossa's a boss too. I fought him.
is it Barbosa? It's not Barbosa. It's what's his name? It's the fish dude,
Yeah, yeah, no, Davy Jones
Davy
is
Jones.
in the playset, but I faced Barbossa as a boss in
Takeover.
in
Really?
he was like one of the last bosses I fought when I was unlocking sidekicks.
That I did
And
not
they're
know.
bigger and they've got their own special little,
Yeah.
attacks and stuff like that. It's awesome.
That makes it even more disheartening that they're not in the boss tool.
I'm looking forward to playing the rest of the toy box, the enemy generated thing,
Yeah.
because what other cool things are going to see? Like, if you don't know it's basically three stages. You start off one and you have to kill all the enemies in the box, and then they do this forced gameplay thing where you might have to ride a horse
Mm-hmm.
or
Drive a
drive a
car.
car to kill all the enemies. It's sort of the gimmicky round, and then you do a boss fight. And then once you've done all three of those, you unlock a sidekick effectively, and it's different each time. Again, just perfect
Yeah.
for just a place to. If you're not a toy box person, perhaps you don't have the internet. Like, it's a must own
Yeah,
if you
it
want
is.
to use your other figures.
I mean, it was a steal for being a free pre-order. It is every bit worth the $20 if you have to purchase it separately. Not an
Again,
exaggeration.
particularly if you've got a big collection of figures.
Yeah, yeah. I'm excited. I want to go back through it now, Jason, with my 1.0 characters, because I only dropped in 2.0 characters. I didn't even try 1.0, so that's really exciting for me as well. Makes me excited for Toy Box Speedway. I was already excited, but even more so. Anything about that before we move to farming?
No, we could move on to farming.
All right. So, Jason, I'm going to throw it your way because of the two of us, you are the master farmer, and you've taught me everything I've needed to know on farming. So, what are your thoughts on farming?
Let me address my notes. Again, I think farming is a promising glimpse of the future. I
Okay.
feel like it is a polished, really fun experience. The only reason I'm not further in the playsets is because I willingly devoted days and nights to farming. Like,
Now, is that
it
so you
was
could?
really fun, and I was genuinely disappointed when I unlocked the last farming hat and last crop. And anyone who's seen my YouTube, I was adamant to develop a really good harvesting mechanic. And out of interest, I initially started off where I would build four, what do you call them, plots of farming land, and then I
Mhm.
would mount a mine at the top of it, and then I had a vehicle that would go on a spline and spawn those mines and simultaneously blow them up, and that would blow all the harvesting up. And it was great because it was like auto weeding. It would auto weed while everything else was growing. The problem was that in the end, is that once you've harvested a plant that's grown, that fruit will only stay there for a limited time. And so that's when I had to change because they were disappearing
Mm.
effectively before I could get in my other vehicle to collect them. Plus, it was killing my sidekicks that were farming for me. But they would just come back to life. And I thought, this doesn't seem very humane. So that's when I developed the tractor weaponized version of the harvester. And because I did that, I effectively broke the system.
Yeah,
And
you did.
but I'm kind of glad I did because it kind of got it out of the system. This game has so much to offer
Yeah.
that I could have been stuck. If farming was more robust, I don't know if I could get away from farming. I'm a sucker for that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And so I'm scared to see it evolve into something bigger because will I ever be able to get out of the farm to get back in a toy box? I don't know. But it looks so cool. There's something so charming about it. The Mickey bars and the churro
Mm-hmm.
cactuses. It's so cool.
Yep.
What's your thoughts on it?
Uh, all of the above. So I'm gonna give a shout out to Lauren Mighty Gitis. I saw a tweet that she posted. I came down from this amazing weekend of playing Disney Infinity, and I'm laying in bed, and I didn't want to go to sleep. I wanted to keep playing the game. So what I do, I went onto our Twitter. I'm just looking through stuff, and I'm settling down for bed. I'm getting ready to go sleep, and a tweet that Lauren posted came up, and it was just like it said it all. You know what the saying, a picture's worth 1,000 words. It was her. I can't remember the exact quote, but it said something to the effect of ending my weekend of playing Disney Infinity, relaxing in my farm, and it was Mulan chilling in her farm, and it was just like this idyllic scene, and I'm like, even if you don't want to fight anyone, jump on anything, unlock anything, build anything, you can go in this game and farm. And
Yeah.
and you game the system. Um, Props to you. I think your farming simulator is brilliant, and I think it's themed amazingly. I mean, you literally have a harvester. That's
Yeah.
cool. Um, but for those that don't want to, they can play it correctly, and for those that want to use your system like me but still want to grow my farm just for fun and just to have my Mickey ice cream and my churros, my mini cupcakes, then it's there for you.
Yeah.
And
And it is my downtime. Like I'll sit there and go, oh, what am I going to do? Oh, I'll just go into my farm and harvest a crop. I'll just jump in there and I'll just shoot away and just harvest it all up, and then I'll just feed my sidekicks for no
that's
reason. I'm
awesome.
like, yes, an excellent end to the Infinity session.
That's
And that's
that's
that's my
amazing.
only downside to this whole thing is it's such a good system, but I
Hmm.
don't feel like it has a big enough payoff. Now, when I say that, that's not the farming's fault necessarily. It's just the fact that, and again, we'll touch on again with the sidekicks, but I feel like the sidekicks need more to do because it's like, well, you only really need one. You only need like I built that entire farm with basically three or four sidekicks, like maxed out sidekicks. And like once you achieve that, there's no need to have any more. So I just wish maybe that the farm provided some more end game and functionality. I don't know.
I don't either. I mean, it's tough, right? You would you would have a lot left to do if you didn't find the perfect system, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if you didn't use your farm, you would still have a lot of time left to build up, right?
And I
Or
feel like there needed to be more. And again, I absolutely loved it, but I think if you're going to improve it, I feel like more tools, more tools. Like there should have been a rake or something like that that you could
mm,
have a sidekick person doing weeding for you.
yeah,
I think that's the biggest thing that frustrated me about the farm is it wasn't a set it and forget it, come back 3 days later and see the work that had been achieved.
right.
It felt like, you had to be there watching them or leave it running for it to work.
Too much
And
kind
that's
of
what was,
hand holding for the figures,
yeah,
which kind of negates
it'd
the
be, it'd,
purpose.
yeah, it'd be awesome just to be able to go, I'm going to go check on my farm, see
Right.
how they've been going. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But there wasn't really that. And maybe I think you made the point. It wasn't 100% clear on how to unlock new, like, foods and stuff like that. It
hmm
literally was a random thing, whether you got planted a rare crop or not.
Yep.
But my gosh, great first steps.
Yeah.
And I'm positive they will continue to expand on that system.
Well, we even brought it up last week with Abe and Jason from Disc Kingdom Infinity Inquirer. Bob Lowe has said, this was one thing that he really wanted in the game, and they already have their next kind of thing like this greenlit. I don't know if it's going to be an advancement to the farm or a side thing to the farm, but regardless, when I first heard about this, I'm like, that is so far out of left field. I don't get it. And in the current version of the game, I totally get it. It's something else to do. Why not? And yes, although like sidekicks of last time, it might be a little basic, once you kind of figure out the ins and outs, but it's a great place to start, like you said.
Yeah.
And it's kind of this fun mini game. And for me, I'm totally digging the collectability. Like I don't need churros. I just want a churro tree. I don't need, certain hats.
Totally.
I just want those hats for my
That's
large
yeah.
number of sidekicks.
And
So
there was something like if you haven't started farming or you haven't really gotten to the game yet, don't look up what the plants are because it's so exciting when you get a new plant. Like that
yeah,
was half the enjoyment. I wanted to plant, and when you saw something that you didn't recognize, like, oh, what is it?
yeah,
And they were
totally
all their growing animations were just top notch.
spot on.
How good did it look? Like so cool.
Yeah, and the
I
sky.
wanted more farm. I would like more farming pieces. Like I would have loved like rickety wood fence pieces. Something that I could really construct a really great looking farm because we had the scarecrow and there's like a barn,
Yeah.
but it would have been awesome if they provided more functionality. Like maybe there is a crow mechanic. Maybe there's crows that can come in, and unless you've got a scarecrow in there, you can't protect. You know what I mean? And the scarecrows protect a certain region that your
That would be
fruits aren't
cool.
going to get. You know what I mean? They could really take this to the nth degree,
Yeah,
and I hope they do. Because yeah, if you're not into the toy box, this is that kind of thing that's like this is it for me.
yeah,
I can foresee people going, "Yeah, I just farm in Disney Infinity. That's
yeah.
all I do. I play the play sets. When I'm not playing play sets, I'm farming."
Totally right. I don't know. I'm excited to make my fall harvest toy box. And there's not a whole lot there, but the scarecrow and the pumpkins. That's all I need in the barn. So yeah, it's awesome. Mad props.
Yeah,
The team did great with it, and can't wait to see how this expands
evolves.
and evolves
Yeah,
in future versions. Well, Jason, the primary purpose of a farm and a requirement for the farm is none other than sidekicks. I think your first note here says it all, so I'm going to throw it your way. What do you think
yeah.
of sidekicks?
2.0 sidekicks, famous for saying hated them. Ugly, ugly things. I hate you. Why are you in my toy box? I cannot stand you. Why aren't you a what do they call a cast member or whatever they call their bigger brother, so to
Yeah,
speak?
cast members.
Hate your guts. 3.0, love them. Cutest things going
Right?
around. I'm like, how do I get more of these things? I absolutely cannot believe that all you needed to do was throw a few stats at them,
Mm-hmm.
allow them to wear hats and hold a weapon, and all of a sudden they become the best thing ever.
Oh my
Um,
God, it's so
just,
true.
just an amazing, complete 180 in opinion as far as those things are concerned. And the only real negative I have is now that you've made me love them, I can't use them enough.
Yeah.
That's it's like I feel like I'm not getting any use out of them. There's so many of them. There's like over 100 or something like that, or close to 100 sidekicks to unlock,
Mm-hmm.
and I only need one. I only need one with the best helmet and the best
Yeah.
weapon, so to speak. You can only fight with one at a time. And as I said before, you only need like two or three of the things to build a really good
Right.
farm. And so there's just not enough for them to do, which is disappointing because I like them so much now.
I agree completely. I think one way that they could fix their it's the exact opposite of a limitation. When you first have a sidekick, you can only level up one of their abilities, and once you start that, you would have to reset it, kind of like a figure, and then that way you would have a reason to have instead of one maxed out character that can do everything, you have five that can do five different things. Uh, I
Good call.
I like that. I mean, it's tough, right? Do you want to limit them, but at the same time, that would give you more of a reason instead of just I dig, I dig the ghost in chains hitchhiking. I want to throw him down now. I also like you. I mean, I get why they might be a little overpowered in play sets, and then you're kind of crossing that whole line that they can't really cross of having non-property uh, characters in those games, like having
Yeah.
Olaf in Star Wars. But I just want to play with them, and I would love to have them in a playset. I mean,
Yeah.
just knowing that the sidekicks, whenever you level them up, you can use them for anything is cool.
And this is where I was talking about before. Like, I agree. I don't think they fit in a playset context, and that's
Hmm.
fine. But you've got to give us more places to use
Yeah,
them. Like,
yeah, yeah.
obviously, we're going to be able to use them in toy boxes that people create. We're going to be able to use them in Toy Box Takeover. They're obviously not going to have much of a place in the Speedway side of things.
Mm,
But I'm like you. I was like, my feeling was what I wanted with these is like, I want Robin Hood to be my right-hand man
right.
fighting character. When I opened up Chernobog, whatever his name is, I thought, I want him to fight. I want Jack Sparrow as a
Uh-huh.
fighter. But then I wanted like, whoever else as a farmer. I
Right.
wanted to segment my, Disney classics
Right.
up into these different areas, and there's just not enough areas to place them. But how amazing would the hub be, though, if that's where your sidekicks lived and breathed? I talked about that in 2.0, where it's like I wanted to be the characters that when you're not using your figures, that those figures should be mingling.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking that because you unlock a sidekick or at least a townsperson when you put down a figure,
Hmm.
I would be happy for that.
Yeah,
Make a theme
totally.
park that the ones that you've unlocked are all playing in. Have an allotment of sidekicks that are farming in that section. You know what I mean? Have a section of the hub where you
That
can
would be
send
cool.
off a series of townspeople to train. Maybe they're like gaining
Oh yeah.
fighting stats in the dojo and stuff. You know what I mean? Wouldn't that be
Totally.
cool?
That
And
would
then
be cool.
that would make the hub feel like home because it's like you're checking in on your friends,
Yeah,
your
totally.
sidekick friends that you've unlocked. You can have that one, Disney.
Do it. Do it. Take another one
It
of
would make
Jason's
all the
brilliant
difference,
ideas.
though. It would, because it's like when you unlock a sidekick, you want that feeling of, oh, you're gonna love my hub. You're gonna
Yeah,
love my home. Welcome to the family.
totally.
And to be able to see those guys interacting, like imagine just randomly rocking up and you're seeing Jack Sparrow on the seesaw with an Olaf sidekick. You know what I
It,
mean?
it,
Like that's awesome.
and knowing that they're your sidekicks, they're not just townspeople. You know,
Exactly.
they're your special people that you have helped develop, and they're like you said, they're your friends, they're your buddies.
And you're giving them jobs. It's like, hey, I want you
Yeah.
to be my
Oh
farmer.
man,
It
that's
would be
so
amazing.
awesome. I love that, and it gives you more use for them, other than just fighting and farming.
Exactly.
Oh, that's great. Yeah,
But
another
but they're
huge.
great. As I said, like honestly, complete 180. They've literally changed not the look.
Yeah.
I hated them. They were ugly, and now I just think they're the best thing in the world.
Yep, absolutely. They were such a burden before and something I never even touched. Like playing the Escape from the Kiln, they annoyed me. Get out of my
Yeah,
way, sidekick. I
totally.
don't care about your hats. And now I'm like, last night I was playing and I was streaming and I got so excited because I unlocked an Oogie Boogie hat to theme like Halloween Town. My highlight of the weekend was finding a sidekick Main Street wand. And I'm like, I'm more excited about unlocking that than a new really cool toy box toy. Like I'm
Totally.
happier with that than the tentacle bridge. And I'm
Yeah.
like that's when I kind of realized this is magical. It
And
is something
you,
that
you raise a good point, that the fact that it's not just combat. It's like they can literally help you in buildings of toy
yep.
boxes, which is, again, it's awesome. It's building this virtual relationship with these little guys. And the fact that you can have this, your sidekick builder and go,
Hmm.
hey, we're building a frozen world. I want you to go build a forest over there. That's so much better than putting down a toy box builder, which they
Yep.
still have for some reason. But I would much rather send my personal sidekick out
Yeah.
to go build for me.
I literally was building a toy box last night. It was a city toy box. I started with the new city, but I needed it bigger. So I threw down my sidekick with his city hat, and he's building away. And just like you said, having that as opposed to a generic character made all the difference in the world. I knew I wasn't alone in this toy box. I was playing with this friend that I had developed over time. I sound so stupid saying this,
No,
but
no, yeah, we do, we do.
it's
We'll be in the loony bin, no problems.
well, yeah, but it goes back to that reward system. Everything there's something to just keep striving for, and
Absolutely. And
you
they
s-
have some friendship system. Maybe some in the chat. I don't really understand it, but if you notice, like they tend to have this
the
friendship
friendship.
leveling of some. I don't really understand the mechanic, but that's something cool because again, it'd be great to
Hmm.
have someone that like, hey, Robin Hood, let's go explore a toy box, a
Yeah,
community toy box. You know what I mean? It'd be
yeah,
great to know that's like, come on, buddy, let's go explore this one. And maybe they have major. Oh, my mind just boggles. If they had like special mechanics where so they were all like if and it should be each one should have its own special power that's independent of a hat or a thing. Like maybe
hmm
ones are really
mm,
good at seeking out hidden treasure, or
yeah.
you know what I mean.
That's
So that,
great
again, you
too.
can handpick sidekicks based on what toy box you're going to play.
That's a great idea too. They have their own inherent attributes, and then you can customize them
Yes,
further from there.
yeah, because
That's great.
otherwise it's really just an aesthetic thing. There's no
Yeah.
real. I mean, it does appear, and maybe you confirm, it does appear that some sidekicks can have higher statistics than others.
Yeah, that's one thing. But I haven't been able to determine if friendship affects that or not.
Yeah,
So
that's it. That's what I'm saying. It'd be nice
yeah.
to know a bit more about that friendship mechanic and how that actually works.
All right. Comment of the night is coming from Jay in the chat room. In the Haynes editions, all characters harvest Vegemite.
Why is there not a Vegemite plant in this game? Seriously,
It has to be done now.
it does.
All right. Well, the takeaway is a full 180. They can not only fight, they can build, they can theme, they can plant, they can harvest. You can do all sorts of things, and it's another meta game that really adds to collectability and connection to the game.
And finally, it does bring value to them as people in toy boxes
Yeah,
now, because
yeah,
now you respect them
hmm
outside of the toy box. Now, when you see townspeople like that and things like that in a toy box, you're not thinking, "Ah, that looks subpar."
right.
You know what I mean? You're now invested in that art style, and so now it's no longer as offensive when you're seeing it in
Yeah,
toy boxes that people are creating.
totally. All right, my friend. Let's move on to the last topic of the night. So we are going to discuss combat now. What are your thoughts?
Awesome.
Awesome,
Like,
right? Enough said.
and it's not only the fact that it's fun to play.
Uh huh.
Like it's now, I mean, let's face it, 2.0, 1.0, boring, tedious
Yep.
effort. Like killing people, I would get depressed whenever an enemy would come in front of me when playing people's toy boxes. Like, really? Really? You're going to make me fight?
Yeah.
And
right.
and now it's like you get excited, just like in a Batman game. When you see a screen full of enemies, you're
hmm
like, I can't wait to start, flinging this lightsaber around.
Yep.
Um, but on a technical level, I want to give huge props to the animation because it's not just a single, animation type that's applied to all the figures. It's not like it doesn't feel like Ahsoka is a reskinned Yoda.
Yeah.
Every little element, and it dates right back to the 2.0 fingers. When I put Jack Sparrow on, it felt like I was fighting as effectively as
Wow.
Yoda, but it was clearly Jack Sparrow animation.
That's amazing. I did not know that 1.0 had been updated. Those figures had been updated that robustly.
Anyone that apparently has got a melee
Wow.
weapon like a sword or
Hmm.
the pan or whatever has been updated to use similar system to the
That's
lightsaber, and
that's
so they
awesome.
feel completely fresh and as effective. Whereas again, we didn't have that in 2.0 because we just had these overpowered flyers, and
Yeah.
1.0 figures felt like junk.
Right.
Now you can be just as effective with a Jack Sparrow as a Yoda, and he's got the gun and the cutlass, so he's effective at range and melee.
Yeah.
So that's super cool, and it doesn't feel out of place. It doesn't feel like it doesn't look like Yoda fighting as Jack Sparrow. It's like clearly just Jack Sparrow with an upgraded fighting mechanic.
I'm so excited to bring them in
Yeah,
now. Yeah, one comment I wanted to make other than that is just the animations are smooth. The characters themselves, everyone. Someone asked me yesterday on the stream which Jedi's the best, and I'm like, for once, I can look at every one of my Jedi's and they're all different from each other. I'm like, take Kanan and Ezra for example. They both have lightsabers and they both have guns. They're different. They work differently. Their guns shoot differently. There's not only that value, but there's also it is a complicated advanced combat system that will take a long time to master and will be difficult to master. There's all these different combinations and rhythms that you have to do for the different maneuvers. But if you just want to button mash, which is primarily what I did, I experimented with button mashing. Tried different timing. You're not. I'm sure you could do it more effectively, but you're not penalized. And I feel like that for those that really want to get deep into that combat, you're gonna have the time of your life. But if you're playing co-op with your daughter, Jason, she's gonna have just as much time stomping on that triangle button, and you're really not gonna be able to notice too much of a difference unless you're looking out for it.
no, it's really amazing that they've been able to pull that off. Like
Mm-hmm.
that can't be easy to find that balance. That button mashing is, you're right, you're not penalized for button mashing,
Yeah.
and yet you can have super advanced combos. And but then just like a normal fighting game, it's completely different for each character. So it's like, and you can, the best way to describe it, you can feel it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's a pacing between each character, and there's that thing that you just inherently have to get used to that character, and once you do, you'll be a master fighter with
Yeah.
them.
Yep. Well, and it gives you more replayability. At 3.0, I mean, when 4.0 hits, it's going to be hard to be an expert at every one of the figures and their combat and all of their different
Yeah.
combos, and that's pretty awesome.
And we can't forget the fact that that additional layer of the sidekicks is actually really important.
Yeah, I
Not
forgot
only are
about this.
sidekicks great fighters, but they have all these benefits of being able to either regen your health,
Uh-huh.
regen your special power, actually be a weapon themselves if you throw them at people, freeze people. Like that's incredible. So many, like a
Yeah.
hundred different sidekicks combined with nearly a hundred different Disney Infinity characters. That's nuts.
It's so cool. It's and again, talk about that. Going back to sidekicks, talking about that connection, like having Pluto as my main fighter, picking up Pluto and having him heal me, and then when I'm fully charged, I throw it at him and he makes this huge area of effect explosion. I'm like, "You my boy, Pluto, get him!"
Many a time have I been saved by Robin Hood with a
Yeah,
rocket launcher or a laser gun. Many a
yeah.
time.
Pro
In fact, I
laser.
quite often hang back and just go, "You do the work, buddy. I got you.
Yeah,
I got your back.
yeah, yeah.
I'll pick up the stragglers."
Oh man, yeah, mad props to Ninja Theory. They started making improvements in 2.0 on that combat system, but I honestly, a game that is known for having amazing combat and kind of the I don't know, the game that you compare all of the games to is the Batman series. I was telling my buddy about who's a huge Star Wars fan, but he's never gotten into Infinity, and the combat in this game is just as compelling. It's different, but in my opinion, it's just as enjoyable as any of the best beat 'em ups out there.
Yeah, it feels great. You feel the impact of the lightsaber. It doesn't feel disconnected like 2.0 did. Like you can feel that connection to the lightsaber to the toy, and it's just so satisfying after a huge melee battle to have all those
Right?
sparks
Yeah,
just
yeah,
lying
right.
there, just like circling in. It's like, yeah, I ripped that up.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You said, you walk into a room and see all these baddies where you used to groan and now you're like, "Oh yeah." That
And
says it
what
all.
I'm so excited about, and like we haven't even got to, we're going to talk about it next week, but I can't tell you how excited I am to experience a four-player Jedi toy box to
With
play with
sidekicks.
three other friends with sidekicks in a toy box. I just hope someone create a toy box that can handle it. You know what I
Right.
mean? I want that
I
experience.
can't wait.
I was thinking like, I just want to build a toy box that's literally an arena based, just throwing hundreds of enemies in it, and it ends with like a four boss
Oh,
situation, and it's just like four Jedi's versus all of that. I cannot wait to experience it.
that will be awesome.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this is that's a whole. It's almost. I guess you could say that like this is 1.0 got the playsets right. Toy box was early days. 2.0 got the toy box right. Playsets sucked. The 3.0 is the first time it's a complete package. You could ignore the toy box. You still got an amazing amount of gameplay and fun to be had there. But if you're a fan of both, what an amazing package
Yeah.
to have it all there.
Well, this is kind of great to lead us into a conclusion here. I'm so smitten with this game and so in love with this game. And Jason, for what we do each week, we sit here and talk about this game, and we talk about the different modes, the things we don't like about, the things we love about, the things we wish would be improved. I would lie if I said to you that sometimes playing the game was a burden. This and it's the first week, and I can say that honestly, even for 2.0, that first weekend I had 2.0, I was just grinding through the playsets just to get through them, just to unlock stuff. I have not had one single unenjoyable experience, and I don't feel like I'm lying to myself when I say this. I am genuinely, as a gamer, as a Disney, Star Wars, Marvel fan, I am just enjoying every second of this game. Justin in the chat saying, "So many smiles tonight, can't stop grinning," and that says it all to me. I mean, there's this game is special. It is. It
It is.
feels like the game they always wanted to make.
That's exactly what I was going to say. This feels like the game that was always promised, and it feels like the original vision. Because when you look at it in nuts and bolts, it is ultimately the same concept.
Yeah,
It's just been evolved enough that like, and it also feels so great to have it validated by the greater community. People all over the web, all over Twitter, big celebrity gamers are all saying how much fun
yeah,
it is, and it feels great to finally, you know, not feel like, oh, we just play the kids game.
right, right. And,
You know what I
and
mean?
niche. I mean, the toy box
Yeah.
is advanced, and we're going to talk about that next week. But it kind of felt like in previous versions of the game, if you weren't really good at the toy box, you're kind of left out in the cold. 2.0 was the biggest slap in the face to those that enjoyed playsets, and this version has that and then some, and then the toy box is also improved and amazing. So no matter what type
Yeah.
of gamer, there's something in this game for you.
That's right. And my grin is on my face because you know that playing this 4.0, I just can't
Yes.
even fathom how good 4.0 is going to be. Like that's
But
literally like you just build upon what's here. And because we found out from Matt Solly interview that they've been working on 2.0 for 2 years.
crazy.
So it's like that makes sense because effectively they were deep into the development of
Hmm.
2.0. Effectively, they weren't able to fix all the errors of 1.0 in 2.0 because it was so deep in development.
Hmm.
So if 3.0 is this good out of the gate, just 4.0 is just excitement to number 10.
You hit the nail on the head. Last year, we were like, we can't wait for 3.0 to fix all these things that we don't like about 2.0. Now we're like, 3.0 is just so amazing, and they did such a good job of uh, evolving the game. I can't wait to see what 4.0
And
brings.
there's a genuine excitement for like I love the fact that we haven't got all the playsets. I mean, I
Yeah,
know Rise of the Empire's not out yet, but I'm personally rapt that I don't have it yet.
yeah, right?
That I can enjoy this playset first, and then I get the excitement of getting that one, and then we get that Force Awakens playset, which you cannot be more excited for. To get that Force Awakens playset that much deeper into the game, and we still got Battlegrounds as well to come out.
Hmm.
It feels great knowing that there can be that anticipation so that you can pass time in the toy box as well. And my gosh, again, we'll talk about it next week, but the content that's already coming out of the toy box is clearly we're so close to playset level stuff, it's
Yeah,
not funny.
yeah, agreed.
So, it's all so positive. I really have so little negative to say. But yeah,
Yeah.
wow, just wow.
Hootie in the chat is saying the community's already talking about 4.0, but in this respect, it's actually a compliment. It's not. Jason just said that we have so much to do. Thank you for pushing off playset releases. It's just it boggles the mind about what the potential is. If there, I personally, Jason, I think you said it on a stream yesterday, I believe, that, or maybe even said at the top of the show that you would be perfectly okay if 4.0 was DLC for 3.0. I mean, that's how good this version of the game is, and make a few additions here and there, but I don't know. I can't stop. I can't wait to end the show so I can start playing the game again, and that is a great feeling for me.
It is nice to know because as you said, like 2.0 was, I mean, if the toy box wasn't great, if the toy box wasn't as great, would Disney Infinity TV even be here today?
Yeah,
Like if
yeah,
the toy box had failed, I don't know if we would have still been doing this show because that playset wasn't enough
right.
to keep a weekly 1 hour podcast going.
Yeah,
And so I just think it's great for the community because it really did feel like it was the toy box people's game last year.
yeah.
And now I feel like
It's
everybody's got
everyone's game.
something to enjoy, the whole family, regardless of your skill level.
Yep. Even if you're a platformer, a side scroller, if you're a
Yeah,
Mario fan, there's something in this game for you.
yeah,
Oh,
totally. And I can't wait to see how big the community grows. I think
yeah.
a lot of people are going to pick this up.
Hmm.
I really do. I think you can't stop good word of mouth like this. I mean, people have been saying like this is the best Star Wars game in
Yeah.
years. And people are just getting it. They're getting the joy of it. They're
Hmm.
getting the joy of just playing with Star Wars as
Yeah.
toys.
Yep. I think we could talk about it all night. I think we gotta stop at some point, or those farms aren't gonna farm themselves.
That's so true. So true.
Jason, I just have to say, my friend, it has been an absolute pleasure having this conversation, and we're not done. Next week we are going to discuss interiors, the toy box, and kind of some additional thoughts. And we have a very special guest on next week. Brandon from GameTrailers.com is going to be joining us. Super excited about that. Jason, you've been in talks with him for months and months about getting him on the show, and he actually does a live stream every Tuesday, I believe.
Yeah, Toy Box Tuesday, I
Yeah,
believe
Toy
it
Box Tuesday.
is.
Can't wait to talk to him. Met him at the summit last year and hung out with him a lot this year, and super cool guy. Can't wait to hear his thoughts on the improvements, especially in the toy box, since that's what he does each and every Tuesday. So
And we thought it'd be good to hear from a professional reviewer.
yeah,
Perhaps hear some professional words about his thoughts on the game. So
Yep.
that looking forward to receiving those as well, not from just hardcore fanboys.
Yeah, totally. GameTrailers.com is huge, and they do reviews for most,
Everything.
yeah, everything. I mean, everything. So can't wait for that. But until then, Jason, I mean, again, this has been amazing. You have
I've been dying for this conversation. Dying for it.
longer than most of us, right?
Exactly.
You
Like
all,
literally that week when I'm playing it, like you're just like I have to talk about
yeah,
this. I
yeah.
couldn't. It's really hard.
Yeah, totally. And you've done a commendable job, buddy. Everyone, if you are trying to figure anything out, if you want to figure out the fastest way to unlock new sidekicks, if you want to figure out how the farming system works, if you want to figure out how to unlock the blank white world, Jason, you've done it, man. On our YouTube, youtube.com/Disney Infinity TV, you have made some amazing tutorials. You've broken them up into chunks for the longer videos, so great job on that.
And great job to the team. We've been streaming it for like feels like round the clock
Yeah.
in that lead up to the release, and something tells me that's going to continue. I think there's going to be a lot of streaming from the team over the coming months, and yeah, I like it's shocking to me. If you had told me a few months ago, it's like Jason, you're going to get Disney Infinity 3.0, and you're barely going to touch the toy box,
Hmm.
would not have believed you. But that's basically it. I've literally barely been in the toy box as yet.
Yeah.
So I've got so much exciting stuff ahead of me still. So super pumped for that.
Can't wait to see. You gave people a preview of your updated Pirates of the Caribbean ride, and this is the ride it was meant to be. So I can't wait for your Toy Box content and for you to teach me more in the Toy Box as well, because that's where I'm going to be spending lots of my time this next year.
Awesome stuff.
Cool, buddy. Commander Galaxy in the chat is saying that Brand is also going to be on Toy Box TV Live tomorrow, so be on the lookout for him there too. That's really exciting.
And
Forgot to
shout
mention
out
that.
to him that you're looking forward to seeing him on Disney Infinity TV.
Yeah, do it. Do it in chat. Be like,
That's it.
Brandon, here you
This
go
is
on
great.
DITV.
This is great, dude. But we can't wait to see you on Disney Infinity TV.
Oh, yeah. You know, one thing I forgot to talk about on the hub, we're wrapping up, but something I was like, that's cool. I'm still going to watch Toy Box TV on YouTube because that's where it's convenient for me. It was pretty special going into the El Capitan and watching it there too. That was a surprise for me as well. I really dug that. And I love their increase in production value. So, all right. We could talk all night.
Yeah.
Let's end it.
You all
Jason, you
play.
want to go play? I want to go farm. The rest of the chat room had one eye on us, one eye playing the game anyway. So let's get
Yeah.
out of their way.
And you've offended everyone that's playing the game without watching the show, and we know you're there because
Yeah.
the numbers are there. We are deeply offended,
We are.
and we will see you in the chat room next week, or the friendship's over.
Yeah. Yep. You were kicked from the circle of friendship.
But
Jason,
make sure to hit up all the Facebook and Twitters, because if you need help, everyone's helping each other at the moment with
Yeah.
working out unlocks and all that sort of stuff. So like get
Totally.
connected to the community if you're not already, through the Infinity Fan forums or our Facebook group, whatever.
Twitter,
So we'll
Toolbox Artists.
do your thing.
Totally. We do have also be on the lookout for our social media, for our Facebook and Twitter. We have figures to give away. This week we will announce how we'll be giving those figures away. We have, what do we have? I'm turning around to see. We have Yoda, Korra, Mickey, and Olaf. So be on the lookout. We're going to be giving those away. We want to give it a fair opportunity to all of our friends. So, Jason, that's going to wrap up this week. Let's get out of here. What do you say?
Yeah, let's go. Looking forward to next week.
All right. Thanks, everyone who joined us. All of our new listeners out there, either on Twitch or YouTube or via iTunes. We really, really appreciate it. Love seeing all the new friends we made over the weekend and streaming, and seeing all of our old friends coming back and hanging out with us. So thanks, everyone who joined us this week on chat. Can't wait until next week. Until then, I would say I hope your week is filled with infinite possibilities. Until then, I hope your week is filled with Infinity 3.0. We hope you enjoyed this week's Inside Infinity, episode number 102. If you like what we do, please look for us on Twitter, Facebook, youtube.com/Disney Infinity TV, twitch.tv/Disney Infinity TV. Like to thank all of our patrons. If you want to be a patron of ours, look us up, patreon.com/Disney Infinity TV. Like to thank James. Luke's a new patron. James as well. Alvin, thanks, buddy. John, really appreciate it. And Aaron, our first patron. So thank you all to our patrons. We really appreciate it. And without you, we couldn't do the show. Look for our parent network, res.tv, youtube.com/res TV. Until next time, thanks, everyone.